Hey guys, I've got some more Destiny 2 news for you today. Got a few more interesting things, most notably a new NPC called Asher Mir, who is some kind of awoken Vex hybrid, and I've also got a chunk of more information about the raid and those Luke Smith hoodies from the reveal event. So let's start then with that new NPC I mentioned earlier, and this guy is called Asher Mir, and he was first mentioned in the Grimoire card Ghost Fragment Eris Morn, which was added into the game back with the Age of Triumph. And let me read this one to you and give you a bit of background about Asher and Eris Morn. Now I appreciate that this one is quite long, but stick with me. The tower's medbay was still. Guardians might operate across the system at all hours, but even in the heart of the last city, there is sometimes quiet. The awoken man lay upon the bed like a broken thing. Machines monitored his every twitch, every aspect of his physical status. The steady, quiet blip of his heartbeat was the dominant sound in the room. A small transplex window sat in one wall of the room. Hovering there, eerily still, was a ghost, its single eye reflected against the inside of the window, a steady red glow. In the corner of the room sat a chair. Cheap, vinyl-covered, this chair could have been a relic from the Golden Age itself, when suddenly it creaked. Because, in the stillness, there was another measured source of breathing in the room. Eris Morn settled back into the chair, allowing the dark wisps of power she'd summoned to effortlessly flow from her back into the night. The green emanations from her shroud were stark against the dimness. Almost as an afterthought, the ghost turned from regarding the window. For a moment, three eyes stared at one, before it turned back to its watch. Her face implacable, Eris regarded the awoken in the bed. His name was Asher Mir. Irascible, annoying, cantankerous, she'd even seen Akora Ray become exasperated in his presence. Her lips quirked, very slightly, upwards. A kindred spirit, if she'd ever had one. Her smile dies as her gaze slid to his side. His warlock garb he had been stripped from his body, and she could see his pale blue chest as it rose and fell in the bed. His arm was gone. In its place was a thing. The point where mechanicals knit with flesh was ghastly to behold, but the design was unmistakable to any Guardian who'd been in the field. Asher Mir's arm was that of a Vex construct. Her eyes flickered to the ghost at the window. It too was transformed. The unmistakable outline of Vex technology encrusting and penetrating the small warden's shell, that red, staring eye. She stood and stepped to the side of the bed. Her voice was gentle, quiet, but its timbre filled the still air of the room. I am leaving, my old friend. The man in the bed did not stir. Soon I will take my leave of this. She put her hands up to take in the medbay, the city, the tower, earth, lie. She placed a gloved hand on the back of his blue flesh and bone hand. I wish we could have spoken, you and I, one last time. But my story here is done. I have avenged those I lost. I must find... She stopped, and breathed beneath the gauze on her face, all three-eyed closed. For a moment she allowed herself to feel the dark tears that flowed unending down her face. These eyes reopened, and her strength blazed in the darkness. I must find a new path through the night, the hive are vast and ancient, a power from far beyond our realm. If we are ever truly to face them, ever truly to put an end to their hate, I must step beyond the safety of the city. She lifted her head and looked beyond the window to the horizon, to the grand sweep of the walls, the edge of humanity's reach. Be safe, Jensen Scribe, a storm is coming, and I will not be at your side when it finds its way to our shores. With those words, and a gathered locus of power, she was gone. The room returned to stillness, the blip of the awoken man's heart echoed from the machines, and the ghost stared into the night, its red eye never blinking. So that's the Grimoire card there. Hopefully you stuck with me through all that, so you now have some background about Asher and Eris. Now if you also remember that when you completed the Vault of Glass raid, you could earn that Prime Zealot leg armor that turned your Guardian's leg into a Vex leg. So that's essentially what has happened to Asher here, except it's his arm rather than his leg that's been replaced by a Vex construct. And his ghost is also transformed into some sort of Vex ghost with a red eye now too. Now that's the only mention of him in Destiny 1, but here we can see him in some gameplay talking with Failsafe and giving this Guardian a mission called Getting Your Hands Dirty, which involves you researching other races by gathering samples from them, starting here then with the Taken.
Ah, Assistant. You are just in time to join my Dimensional Anomaly Research Group.
So that is the voice of Asher Mir, and he seems to me that he's some kind of mad scientist. Now obviously we don't know if we'll actually meet this guy in the game, but it seems more than likely that we will. And given that he is communicating with Failsafe here, it is possible that he might be the NPC character on Io the one that's equivalent to Devrim K in the Dead Zone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now then, moving on to a very good conspiracy theory on the Leviathan raid and those Luke Smith hoodies from the reveal event. Now that logo on the right is something to do with the Agent of the Nine, as I said in the previous video. But this one on the left here, with the triangle and the circle above it, is the one that we're going to be looking at, as it also appears on the trophy image for the Leviathan raid completion. It's just upside down and doesn't have that circle around it. Now this next bit is gonna feel like a bit of a reach, but if you have a look at this Destiny 2 concept art and just look at the shape of the sort of mouth here on this ship, and that orb of light just above the ships look like it could be what this icon is representing. Now I appreciate that may not be enough for you guys, so I have got some more to go on. If you pre-ordered the collector's edition, you got this Cabal themed box, which if you have a look at these bits I've circled on this image here, just above and below what appear to be the console's face, you can see it looks like the mouth of that same ship from the picture, and there appears to be some sort of tail that looks like, well, a sea monster. And the final point I've got for you here is this star constellation to the left of this ship looks to be the Cetus constellation, and in Greek mythology, Cetus is a sea monster, also known as a Leviathan. Looking at all of this information, it would appear then that the raid will either take place in the city on top of the mouth of this ship, the planet in front of it, or indeed we may well go inside the ship there, any of which could well be the home of Gaul and the Red Legion, and where we can finally take the fight to him and the console. Again, I appreciate this does seem really far-fetched, however this theory does seem to me like it holds a lot of weight when you take into account the name of the raid, the hoodies, the concept art, the collector's box and the constellation here. It all just seems to add up. So that's all I've got for you guys today, just a quick roundup of some Destiny 2 news there. If you like the video, please give it a like, rating and subscribe so you don't miss any future content, and I will see you guys again soon.